I remember back in the 1980s telling university audiences, eventually the fine-tuning evidence for the creator God of the Bible scientifically will become so overwhelming that the non-theists will have nowhere else to go but to hypothesize an infinite number of universes where every universe is different, where they'll claim that we happen to live in the one lucky universe where everything has just the right features and characteristics. And it was none other than Leonard Susskind, an atheist theoretical physicist, said this is a terrible argument for us atheists, basically making the point that any theory that explains everything explains nothing. And he basically, that's all he said. What I've done in the creator and the cosmos is to give you an example of what he was talking about. That if you really have that kind of a multiverse, you're going to have an infinite variety of birch trees. And if you know anything about birch trees, they peel white pieces of bark. Well, if you've got an infinite variety of species of birch trees, one of them will be peeling pieces of white bark that measure 8.5 by 11 inches. And on an infinite number of planets, those pieces of bark will fall on soil that's got random chemicals in it that make markings on these pieces of bark that look exactly like all the equations, diagrams, letters, paragraphs that you see in every research paper published by every non-theistic scientist. Which means those papers didn't come from their mind, it came from the multiverse. And that's kind of Leonard Susskind's point. You would not only be explaining away divine design, you're explaining away every human design. You have a philosophical inconsistency. But the other thing I would add, I think there is a way to put this to a positive test. If the atheistic version of the multiverse is correct, then at some point, this accumulating fine-tuning evidence will begin to go down rather than up. So if the theistic version is correct, the more we learn about the universe, the greater and greater will become the fine-tuning evidence that that creator God was responsible. But if it really is the atheistic version of the multiverse, at some point we'd expect to see declining evidence for that fine-tuning design. So what's been the track record of the past 50 years? It's always gone up. Moreover, it's not only gone up, it's gone up exponentially, which is something we document in the 4th edition of The Creator and the Cosmos.